I'm making a video where I'll be reading from a book on the mystery schools, particularly Freemasonry, called Ancient Mysteries in Modern Masonry by Reverend C.H. Vail. This was published all the way back in 1909. Very interesting because this book here has on the inside, for the title page, it has an image of the world in a globe. At the top of this globe is a G surrounded by sun rays, a circle with a triangle in the center, the cross in the crown, the double-headed eagle, and on the very top, overhead this globe, is a swastika. Ancient Mysteries in Modern Masonry by Reverend Charles H. Vail, 32nd degree, pastor of Pullman Memorial Church at Albion, New York, first edition, 1909, published by McCoy Publishing and Masonic Supply Co., New York City, New York, USA. Copyright 1909, entered at Stationers Hall, London, 1909. All rights reserved under Berne Convention. Preface. The series of Sunday evening lectures which comprise this book were first given to the Pullman Memorial Church, Albion, New York, or Albion, New York, to the members of Renovation Lodge number 97, Free and Accepted Masons, the congregation of which the author is pastor. The many calls for the lectures in printed form led to their publication. We trust that the book may contribute to a better understanding of the order by the general public, inspiring our brother Masons to greater appreciation of and loyalty to the fraternity, and encouraging all to labor for the realization of the great principles and ideals embodied in the ancient mysteries in our modern Masonry. Charles H. Vail, Albion, New York, March 10th, 1909. If I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. It's spelled Albion. And before I start, I noticed I had a jump in subscribers, and one of you new subscribers is watching this, listening to this, because you don't see anything. If you go back to my earlier videos, you'll see clearly that I read a lot of occult Freemasonic works. Part of the reason was to show, demonstrate, document, prove that it's like the secret societies that are really behind the scenes, pulling strings, and in a lot of their own publications, they do admit or suggest that they have had, their orders have had a hidden hand in the revolutions of history and many other things. So it's debunking that whole myth that it's just a conspiracy theory that these secret societies are trying to get a new world order and are almost succeeding in doing that. They have been at the very heart from the very beginning of this agenda, many of them. So I'll be reading from this book, and I'll probably be doing a series of videos, quite a few of them. So if you're not into listening to boring stuff or, somebody reading, I guess I can kind of relate. I prefer to read it myself, but I know there's a lot of people who like to listen to other people read this information. I will also, if you can look this book up yourself, and I can post a link underneath this video here of the book if you just want to read it yourself, or if you just aren't interested at all, just to forewarn, it's about secret society, occult stuff. Some of it might be very interesting to you. To others, it might be boring and I guess it's okay, but the whole point is to share information and learn the best we can of these groups and people, gain a better understanding of these people and the agenda and what's going on. Getting a little bit of the history of their of these secret societies. So I'm going to start. Ancient Mysteries and Modern Masonry Introduction. The purpose of these lectures is to consider the origin and nature of the ancient mysteries of modern Masonry and to show the relation which they bear one to the other. Freemasonry deals largely with the morals and symbols of the mysteries of antiquity and originally was one of the channels of ancient wisdom. That's the ancient mystery schools. And a guy I used to listen to quite a bit who kind of inspired a lot of this research into the secret societies, Bill Cooper, author of Behold the Pale Horse and host of the Hour of the Time radio show, killed in 2001, did a whole series on the ancient mystery religions and stuff, Mystery Babylon. Granted, yes, Bill Cooper definitely was by no means perfect or a saint or someone to trust fully, but when it came to the mystery religions and the secret societies, I think for the most part, as long as you check it out yourself, it was a lot of good wealth of information that was worth learning about from him. So I suggest you, if you want, just listen to some of those if you haven't. There were a few among the founders of modern Masonry who possessed the royal secret, or at least had a knowledge of its existence, and if the key has been lost, the Mason, as heir apparent of the old wisdom, should be foremost in the search for its recovery. All agree that the Masonic symbols and traditions are of the greatest antiquity and can be traced to the Far East, to the earliest civilization, from which time and place they have spoken in nature's language to all peoples of the earth. We are more and more convinced that this picture of language of our ritual contains the most complete philosophy, a knowledge embracing the eternal verities of the universe, and that these symbols were designed by the initiates of old to preserve and convey that ancient wisdom to the present and future generations. Though empires and dynastic continents have appeared and passed away, these ancient symbols, hewn in rock-cut temples and monuments, have served to convey the great secret from ages past and will continue its record as long as this part of the universe remains. I notice how in some of their writings of these Masonic people and secret society people, they will capitalize on certain words that they want to put, that they feel to put great emphasis on. Like, for instance, the Great Secret capitalizes the G in great and secret in S. So it's really must be a really quote-unquote great secret. Modern Masonry has become, in a special sense, the custodian of these ancient symbols, and should not be content with its possession only, nor with merely imitating its various predecessors, but should enter boldly into the inheritance of its birthright, and seek the ancient wisdom of its illustrious prototypes. To confine the interpretation of its symbols and legends to lessons in morality and fraternity, such as are found in all exoteric religions, is not to grasp the deeper meaning that the glyphs and parables were meant to convey. Many today realize this fact, and they are seeking still more light, without as well as within the till doors of our lodges. In setting forth the results of modern research concerning the symbols and legends of antiquity and their meaning in modern Masonry, I shall not lift the veil from the secrets of the order, of course not, but will endeavor to lead the initiate to the clearer light, that he may not only see for himself the connection linking the past with the present, but will begin to know through the development of his higher Masonic manhood the mighty truth of which these symbols speak. In this endeavor I shall only refer to those things in Masonry that are exoteric and contained in our best publications. I do not claim the knowledge that would enable me to completely unfold the mystery and philosophy embodied in the glyphs of ancient times, but they do embody an occult science. No thinking man of today has any doubt, and if I am able to throw even a little light on the great subject of ancient symbolic mysteries, I shall feel amply repaid for my efforts. I am sure the lectures will prove interesting and instructive to both members and non-members of the order, and while some few things mentioned will be better understood by Master Masons, my meaning will be clear to all, and that they may lead to a better understanding of the ancient mysteries and modern Masonry, I bespeak for the subject matter your careful investigation. And now we're going on to Lecture 1. Now, in case you don't know, exoteric and esoteric. Exoteric is the outer meaning of something spiritual or something, philosophical or whatever. It's the outer meaning, the literal outer meaning, and there is an esoteric, which is his opposite. There's an inner hidden occult meaning. Many believe there are a lot of occult, esoteric, exoteric teachings in the Bible, and I had to take a drink of water. Many believe that, and you're free to believe it, and I'm no Bible scholar or expert in any way. There could be. I don't know. But anyways, you get the idea. Along with the popular traditions and public cults of ancient times, there existed an inner organization of religion, the mystery institution, which was the channel of secret traditions. While our knowledge of the mysteries is not so extensive as we could desire, owing to the fact that they were anciently guarded with the greatest care, the slightest violation of the oath of secrecy being punishable by death, we know that the mystery side of religion, a knowledge of its highest cult and doctrines, was only attained through initiation. Every great teacher of antiquity passed through these portals. This one fact in itself makes the study of the mysteries of the utmost importance to Masons. The institution of the mysteries was to be found in all parts of the world. There were the mysteries of Isis and Osiris in Egypt, the Mithraic mysteries of the Persians, the Orphic and Bacchic and the later Eleusinian semi-mysteries of Greece. That's the Eleusinian, or Eleusinian, or however you want to pronounce. Mysteries of Eleusis, whatever. The mysteries of Samothrace and Chaldea, the mysteries of India, the Druidical mysteries, the Gothic mysteries, and many others. Thus it follows that the key to antiquity is the knowledge of its mysteries. The late General Albert Pike, formerly Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council, Southern Jurisdiction, Ancient Accepted Order of the Scottish Rite, illustrates this by saying, quote, "Through the veil of all the hierarchic and mystic allegories of the ancient dogmas, under the seal of all the sacred writings, in the ruins of Nineveh and Thebes, on the worn stones of the ancient temples, on the blackened face of the Sphinx of Assyria or Egypt, in the monstrous or marvelous pictures which the sacred pages of the Vedas translate for the believers of India, in the strange emblems of our old books of alchemy, in the ceremonies of reception practiced by all the mysterious societies, we find traces of a doctrine everywhere the same, and everywhere carefully concealed. The occult philosophy seems to have been the nurse or godmother of all religions, the secret lever of all the intellectual forces, the key of all the divine obscurities, and the absolute queen of society in the ages when it was exclusively reserved for the education of the priests and kings," unquote. That was taken from Morals and Dogma, page 729 by Albert Pike. The origin of the mysteries. This is interesting. The mysteries had their origin in the first great teachers and guides of humanity. These are called the Sons of Venus. They formed the nursery of adepts, the nucleus of the first Great White Lodge. The chief of these is known by many mysterious names in the old writings: the root base of the occult hierarchy, the Chimera, etc. Surrounding the chief, there was a small band of beings who came to Earth to labor for the evolution of young humanity. And many believe this to be especially Christians, Lucifer and his fallen angels. Others believe that this is, aliens or Nephilim. I'll let you decide. But it's interesting. This is the only book from initiate of one of these orders that has talked about that. Many have talked about it, and many believe that. So it's just what they believe. Another class of beings who aided in this work was called Agnish Vadas, or Vedas. That is spelled Agnishvattas. And I looked up the definition of that. That is, it's two definitions. Class of souls of ancestors from ancient times. 2, class of awakened beings. So there you go. Your Illuminati of that day. Many of these we are told in the stanzas of Zion, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It's spelled D-Z-Y-A-N. Zion. Became Arhats. Thus was established upon earth, according to tradition, the first great occult hierarchy. So they were the first to establish on earth the first great occult hierarchy. These illumined beings with these beings who came from another place. Whatever you want to believe, according to what they believe. In the early ages, occult knowledge was taught openly, as the sciences are taught in our colleges today. But in the course of time, many allowed their selfishness to rule, and so abused their power that it became necessary to withhold such knowledge from the unworthy. This was the condition of religious affairs when the mysteries were necessarily established by the king priests of the divine dynasties in the days of Atlantis. There were many already in possession of occult knowledge who were so engrossed in selfishness that they could not be brought into the divine path, and their abuse of this power over the forces of nature made them giants of evil. Kind of sounds like the elite globalists of today, don't it? They rebelled against the white emperor and became black magicians. This caused a long and fierce struggle. At last the cup of evil was full. The forces of nature were turned against the land until the great continent, together with all followers of their own selfish practice, sank beneath the waters of the ocean. Before the storm broke, however, the men of the good law, heeding the summons to escape, migrated to a place of safety. This might be history repeating itself in the coming future. Lately, it has not been looking good at all. Before the overthrow of Atlantis, the mysteries were well established in ancient Chaldea and Egypt, the two great fourth race nations being offshoots of the great Atlantean civilization. The Indian mysteries came from her own priest king, the Manu, who gave to the first branch of the Aryan stock its religious teaching. From this fount of the Aryan race, the mystery teaching, in after years flowed westward and mingling with the older tradition, derived from ancient Atlantis, gave to it new life and power. Sounds a little bit like the Nazi occult ideologies that came out of, the Guido von List and stuff. If you've heard of him, he's the one who kind of laid some of the groundwork for the later occult teachings that the Nazis would pick up. Some of the Nazis, the occult, side of it anyways. To the Aryan master race. The Greeks received their mysteries from Orpheus, who introduced them direct from India. But from whatever source the various nations received their mystic instruction, the meaning was ever the same. All initiates were members of the one great brotherhood. In these early days, the mystery institutions were conducted by great adepts, whose knowledge was the fruitage of a prior system of evolution. But as time went on and our humanity developed, the great masters gradually withdrew, and the mysteries were committed to the advanced pupils of our present system of evolution. The source of religions. There are two schools of thought in the modern world, comparative mythologists and comparative religionists. The answers given by these two schools to the question of the source of religion are diametrically opposed. But both base their arguments upon the same common facts. These facts are a marked similarity, not only in the teaching, character, and power of the founders of religions, but also of the main outlines of their lives. The stories of these savior gods and their teachings antedate, some of them by many centuries, the birth of the Christian Savior. This similarity, amounting in many cases to practical identity, denotes, according to both schools, a common origin. The comparative mythologists contend that the common origin is one of common ignorance, that the universal natural phenomena and the personification of these powers of nature resulted in similar ideas. This school maintains that the loftiest religious sentiments and doctrines are merely the refined feeling and expression of the barbarous guesses of primitive men, that animalism, fetishism, nature worship are the soil out of which the highest forms of religious flowers have blossomed, and that the founders of the great religions are the highly developed but lineal descendants of the whirling medicine man. On the other hand, the comparative religionists maintain that the common origin is one of divine wisdom, or gnosis. All religions, they say, originate from the teachings of divine men who constitute a great brotherhood of spiritual teachers, and give out from time to time to different races and nations of the world such parts of the fundamental truths of religions as are suited to the needs of the people. That's interesting, huh? They contend that animalism, fetishism, and nature worship are the distorted and dwarfed descendants of true religious belief, and that the founders of great religions are men who have advanced beyond normal humanity, thus becoming the spiritual guardians of the race. We have no hesitancy in saying that we accept the view of the comparative religionists, for the scriptures of the various religions furnish abundant evidence that the founders were advanced men, and their teachings are not surpassed or often equaled by later writers in the same religions. The sacred books of the East give ample evidence of this fact, while the alleged refining process of the mythologists is without adequate support. A minute there to digest that. We also find amongst savages many traces of lofty ideas, which are entirely beyond their capacity to originate. When we remember that the savage tribes of today are not our ancestral types, but rather the degenerate offspring of past great nations, we begin to understand how they came to possess these lofty ideas. They are the faint remaining vestiges of the wisdom long ago imparted by a great religious teacher. And he's saying that he took this from Esoteric Christianity by Annie Besant. It says chapter 1, I believe. And Annie Besant is an interesting character. She not only was, Freemason and New Ager, Theosophist, which gave birth to a modern New Age, but she was also a socialist. I find many of these people are socialists. It is evident that man in his infancy was not left to grow up unaided. There have always been elders or sages from whom the less advanced brethren received direction and training. Such ever stood beside the earliest cradle of humanity and gave to the race the needed guidance and impulse toward a higher ideal of civilization. The first great teachers were advanced souls from other and still earlier systems of evolution. They were the adepts of the early races who established upon this earth the first great occult fraternity. These lofty beings watched over and guided early mankind. And as men advanced and became fitted for higher knowledge, they were instructed in the nature of the gods, the human soul, the mysteries of the unseen world, and the processes of the world's continual evolution. Such are the persistent and uncontradictory facts in connection with the mysteries. Religions then have their source in the occult hierarchy, the qualified guardians of the spiritual growth of the human family. And that's how they really feel about themselves, the highest of the mystery school initiates of today. They're qualified to keep the secrets from us. They're qualified to rule over us, qualified to carry on the their goals in the world, and put the rest of us in shackles. And I'm just going to read another page of this, and then I think I'll be good to make a second video tomorrow. Reasons for esotericism. History has noted the disastrous results of spreading occult knowledge indiscriminately, and since the sad experiences of Atlantis, the initiates have carefully guarded from the unpurified that knowledge which is power. Therefore, the most rigid conditions regarding purity, unselfishness, and self-control are imposed on all who seek the higher knowledge. The temptation to use power for selfish ends is too great to entrust such knowledge to men of uncontrolled desires. Another reason for esotericism is the fact that religions were given for the purpose of quickening human evolution. Men are at such various stages of development that what will be understood by the philosopher is unintelligible to another, and in order to reach and help all, it is evident that instruction must be adapted to the peculiar needs of each individual. The religious teachings must be as graded as evolution itself. Each must be met on their own level and helped on and on from that plane to greater heights and broader views, all in a fashion that appeals to their unfolding intellects. It is due to this fact that all the great teachers have reserved the greater truths for those capable of receiving and understanding them. I think I'll call that a night for now. It's to give you a better mindset for those who want to listen. The elites, it's a lot of these men who are shaping our new world order now, involved in the Great Reset, are a part of this religion and believe in it, obviously, and it's really the foundational, it's the foundation behind their elitist attitude. They believe that they're the they're the qualified guardians of the race, and they're sort of the gods of the earth. They believe that they got the right to do what they're doing, whether that be deception or whatever, because we're unworthy, we're the profane, and regardless of whether it's what the David Ickeans and others say, it's aliens at the top, the Illuminati at the top, or whatever, that it's in the human alien. It's you might as well look at them as aliens because they have almost an alien worldview compared to us. That's how twisted it is. And a taste of what our future is, we can look at what's happening in Shanghai now, and it is insane. All those people locked in their apartments forcefully from the outside, locked in. You got robotic animals, like that robotic dog video that went viral, running around the Shanghai streets, talking in a Darth Vader robotic voice. Stay in your homes. You need to be safe. You need to sacrifice your freedom. It's complete Twilight Zone. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World really becoming a reality. So, it's scary. And God knows what's coming next. We're just at such a critical time right now. I still want to share this info, even though I don't. At this point, it's really to people who are interested. Like I said, if you're not interested, you don't have to listen or watch, of course. It's for those who are interested in learning more about the subject of getting into the deeper beliefs of the elites, and to verify and prove the so-called conspiracy theory that the secret societies are the ones that are, for the most part, the main ones that are perpetrating all this criminal activity on us to bring about their world tyranny. Well, I think I'll call this a night, and I'll make a second video. Hope you enjoyed the information. And I'll post a link of this book if you want to just read it yourself, or whatever. Take care. Have a good night.